A Journey Through the History of Ukraine. Introduction. The history of Ukraine is a rich tapestry woven with threads of triumphs, struggles, and resilience. Nestled in Eastern Europe, Ukraine's story is one of a nation that has constantly grappled with external influences while preserving its distinct identity. Spanning over 1,000 years, Ukraine's history is a testament to the enduring spirit of its people and their quest for sovereignty. In this article, we will take a journey through the key epochs of Ukraine's history, from its ancient origins to its modern struggles for independence. Ancient Ukraine, Ukraine's history dates back to the early Slavic tribes that settled in the region around the 6th century AD. These tribes laid the foundation for what would become the Ukrainian nation. Over time, these tribes united and formed the medieval state of Kievan Rus, with Kyiv as its capital. Kievan Rus was a thriving civilization that played a crucial role in the development of Eastern Europe, introducing Christianity and contributing to the spread of Byzantine culture. Mongol invasion and division. However, the prosperity of Kievan Rus was short-lived. In the 13th century, it fell victim to the Mongol invasion, which devastated the region. Ukraine was divided into several principalities, each under Mongol control or influenced by neighboring powers. This division would shape Ukraine's history for centuries to come. Cossack era. The 17th century marked a significant period in Ukrainian history with the emergence of the Cossacks. The Cossacks were skilled warriors and a semi-nomadic group that resisted foreign rule. Led by charismatic leaders like Hetman Bogdan Khmelnytsky, they rebelled against Polish domination and entered into alliances with various European powers. The Treaty of Pereyaslav in 1654 established a Cossack state, the Hetmanate, which sought to maintain autonomy from both Poland and Russia, Russian Empire and imperial struggles. However, Ukraine's quest for independence was short-lived. The late 17th century saw Ukraine divided once again, this time between the Russian Empire and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Over the next centuries, Ukraine would become a battleground for these empires, suffering from wars, uprisings, and forced assimilation efforts. By the end of the 18th century, the majority of Ukrainian territories had fallen under Russian control. Ukrainian national revival. The 19th century witnessed the resurgence of Ukrainian national identity. Writers, poets, and intellectuals worked to preserve the Ukrainian language and culture, even under the strict censorship of the Russian Empire. Taras Shevchenko, a prominent Ukrainian poet and artist, became an iconic figure of this period, inspiring a sense of national pride. 20th century struggles. The 20th century brought both hope and tragedy to Ukraine. The chaos of World War I and the Russian Revolution allowed Ukraine to briefly declare independence in 1917. However, this independence was short-lived, as it soon faced invasions from multiple sides, including the Bolsheviks, the White Army, and neighboring Poland. The Treaty of Riga in 1921 divided Ukraine between Poland and the Soviet Union, with the western part under Polish rule and the eastern part becoming the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Holodomor and World War II, one of the darkest chapters in Ukraine's history, occurred during the early 1930s with the Holodomor, a man-made famine orchestrated by Joseph Stalin's regime that resulted in the deaths of millions. The scars of this tragedy still haunt Ukraine today. World War II brought further suffering as Ukraine became a battleground between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, resulting in immense human and infrastructure losses. Soviet era and independence. After World War II, Ukraine remained part of the Soviet Union until its dissolution in 1991. The Declaration of Independence marked a new beginning for Ukraine, but it also brought economic challenges, political instability, and struggles for sovereignty. Ukraine has faced political turmoil, including the Orange Revolution in 2004 and the Euromaidan protests in 2014, which led to the eventual election of pro-European leaders. Conclusion. The history of Ukraine is a story of resilience, determination, and the enduring spirit of its people. From the ancient civilization of Kievan Rus to the struggles for independence in the modern era, Ukraine's journey has been marked by both triumphs and hardships. Today, Ukraine continues to assert its sovereignty and build a future that honors its rich history while striving for a brighter tomorrow. The Ukraine conflict, a complex geopolitical quagmire. Introduction. The conflict in Ukraine has been a focal point of global attention since 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and unrest erupted in eastern Ukraine. This ongoing conflict is not merely a regional issue, it is a complex geopolitical quagmire that has far-reaching implications for international relations, security, and the people living in the affected regions. Historical context. Understanding the Ukraine conflict requires examining its historical roots. Ukraine has a rich and turbulent history, with a deep-seated desire for independence and self-determination. The country gained its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, but the transition to a democratic and economically stable nation was fraught with challenges. The annexation of Crimea. In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea was a pivotal moment in the Ukraine conflict. This move was widely condemned by the international community as it violated Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The annexation also sparked a wave of sanctions against Russia by Western nations, further exacerbating tensions. Eastern Ukraine and the Donetsk-Luhansk conflict. The eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk became the epicenter of violent conflict between Ukrainian government forces and pro-Russian separatists. This conflict resulted in thousands of deaths and displacement of civilians. The situation in eastern Ukraine remains volatile, with sporadic clashes and ongoing negotiations. Geopolitical dimensions. The Ukraine conflict has significant geopolitical implications. It has strained relations between Russia and Western nations, particularly the United States and the European Union. NATO's expansion eastward has added another layer of complexity, as Russia perceives it as a threat to its security. Economic impact. The conflict has taken a toll on Ukraine's economy, with disruptions to trade, infrastructure damage, and the cost of maintaining a military presence in the east. Russia has also faced economic sanctions, affecting its trade and investment opportunities. Humanitarian crisis. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of the Ukraine conflict is the humanitarian toll. Thousands of civilians have been killed or injured, and many more have been displaced from their homes. Humanitarian organizations have struggled to provide aid and support to those in need, with access challenges in conflict zones. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the Ukraine conflict diplomatically have been ongoing. The Minsk agreements, brokered by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, aim to achieve a peaceful settlement, but they have seen limited success. International mediators, including the United Nations, continue to work toward a lasting solution. Conclusion. The Ukraine conflict remains a complex and unresolved issue with deep-seated historical roots and significant geopolitical implications. It has caused immense human suffering, strained international relations, and raised questions about the boundaries of sovereignty in the 21st century. Resolving this conflict is not only